guys, hope you're doing well. Today I have pretty kind of like a three-page spread, I guess. I have two pages here, the front and the back of this half circle, and then I have a four 3x4 pocket page that I'm going to be doing. So I had these two 4x6 photos that were horizontal, and I didn't want to try to make some tabs or anything like that to get them in the album. I have a two-ring album, so I decided to cut out like this semicircle. I mean, it's more than a semicircle, but kind of like this D shape. And I thought that would really work really well for these two photos that are this horizontal layout. And I could have used a 4x6 two 4x6 pocket pages, but I thought this would just be fun. I like the interactiveness of it, the different size, and it's not always the same page protector as you flip through the album. So I thought this would be a nice kind of transition or a different kind of look for the page here. So I am just going through all of my stash. I already cut the half circle out and I did some stitching around the edge with my sewing machine. And it is gold stitching in a zigzag pattern. And as you saw at the very beginning of the video, I did start on the other side and I just couldn't figure out how to make it work. So I moved on to this side and then I'll go back to the previous side after this side is complete. And I have to admit, this was definitely a struggle for me. This took me forever. I cut out a lot of the messing around with some stuff just because it was just a little too much. It was a little boring. I was very indecisive. I don't know. I was just having a difficult time with this particular layout. So I did cut out a lot of that, but just because I didn't want to bore you with all the indecisiveness. So what I'm doing here is I am just trimming out some circles using my hole circle punch. And as you can see, the circle punch is not working very well for me. I need to try to sharpen it and see if that works. Those ones that you get from Michaels, they just don't seem to stay sharp very well. I like the EK Success ones better, but I had this one, so I was making it work. And I did punch that green circle out there, but I am going to make it a little bit smaller. It just seemed a little bit too big for that part of the layout. And then I punched that red circle and I put it down there to kind of anchor where that deer is sitting. The deer and the holiday cheer are both die cuts from some of the Cartabella pack of die cuts from Simple Stories. And then, or not Simple Stories, but Cartabella. And then that's not Snowman, but the what is it called? Tree is from a sticker sheet that I think I might have got from the Target dollar spot. So now I am punching out some vellum. I thought I would use this. It looked just a little bit funky there. It just was too big of a green space, but I decided that the green circle was just too big. So you'll see here in a couple minutes, I'm going to punch that green circle out with a smaller punch. And I like that a lot better. And then I'm also going to put another punch behind this photo and the circle cluster here. And I think that just ties everything in a bit better. So now I'm kind of happy with everything and I'm starting to glue everything down. And I also want to apologize for my voice today. It might sound a little bit off. I am battling a bit of a cold. I have been battling this cold, I think, for about a week now. I thought it was going to go away, and then all of a sudden yesterday it came back with a vengeance. So now I am a little congested, but hopefully it's not too disruptive for the video. I'm gluing everything down here. And then I'm going to trim the circle off, and then later I realized, ooh, I didn't probably want to do that. I don't really like how that looks. So I kept the little piece and I'm just going to glue it back on. You really can't even barely tell that I did that, and it worked out okay. So punching out another circle here. This is that red circle I said I was going to put behind the green circle punch there. I just felt like I needed something and to bring that red up from the bottom. So I'm going to glue that down. And then I'm going to glue that little green sliver back on. And like I said, you really won't be able to see and barely tell that I even did that. And then once that is glued on, I am going to glue down everything to this semicircle shape that's in the background. Just using some of my 3M tape. And I do put a lot on here. This is an open pocket, so I didn't want anything to fall off since it is exposed. It's not in any plastic. So that is a good adhesive to use for that type of thing. It really holds everything in place. I could have used the liquid glue too. That would have worked as well. Now I'm pulling out these flat back brads and I'm going to sprinkle them around the page. I have a couple from this Cartabella sheet from Echo Park, or the Echo Park sheet, and then I have a couple from the Cartabella sheet. I'm just going to put a couple here and there. And then I think I have some gold little enamel dots that I'm also going to, or silver, sorry, enamel dots that I'm going to use. And those silver goes with the silver border around the brads. So I'm just going to add those in a couple places there. And that part of the page is done. And then I will move on to the back side that I was struggling with earlier. And I continue to struggle with this. Again, I cut some of the video out just because I didn't want to bore you, but I finally figured out a way to make it all work. But I don't know, I played with these die cuts 100 times. I think the background was just too overwhelming. So you're going to see here in a little bit, I am going to cut out a piece of vellum to kind of mute the background. And then that made it a lot better. It made it a lot easier to put the tags and stuff down. Everything just felt like it was way too much because this background is obviously very busy, and the vellum really helps to mute everything down, and I like it a lot better once I put this on. So I'm just lightly tracing with a pencil so I can make appropriate cuts, and then I will just use my white kind of plastic eraser to erase all the extra lines that are showing. So once I get all that done, I will trim that out with my scissors. And while I'm trimming that out, I just want to thank you guys for joining me for the December Daily. I know I've been MIA a lot recently, just a lot of stuff going on, life, all that kind of fun stuff like everybody deals with. And I just haven't been able to post and have the time or motivation to post recently, but I'm really enjoying the December Daily this year, so I'm glad to be able to be sharing another year of that with everyone. When are you guys working on your December dailies? Are you guys not obviously not finished? It's not quite done yet, but are you guys up to date? Are you doing your December daily afterwards? When are you guys doing your December dailies? Are you guys even doing a December daily? Leave a comment below letting me know what you guys are doing. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm always interested to see what other people are doing, if they're doing the project or they just like to watch other people put the project together, or what is in your what's on your mind and what are you doing this year for Christmas, or really any holiday, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate in December. I just trimmed out this little cute gnome tag from one of the 12 by 12 papers, and I'm going to back that with some red. There's a lot of green going on, and I felt like this little extra border of red would kind of help pop it off the page a bit more. And I will add a string here in a couple seconds. It's going to be the white and gold string, and I think that goes well because any kind of tag that has a little hole in it, I feel like you have to put something in it or it just kind of seems naked. So the white and gold thread I thought looked nice. And it also matched the gold that's in the stitching around the circle here too. So once I get that all on there, I am going to kind of fray it out a little bit. The gold, it's kind of like a tinsel that's in the twine and it doesn't stay very nicely. So I figured I would make it look like it was supposed to kind of be frayed out. So I'll kind of play with the ends of it a bit here in a little bit. And it just looks more intentional than if it just came undone, I guess. So after finagling with this for way too long, I kind of settle on this kind of a layout here. And then I pull out some of these wood veneer stars. They are very, very thick. So I will end up taking my little Cricut mat spatula and splitting the wood veneer in half. And then I can use one piece and I get two out of it. So it's perfect. And I'll just use some liquid glue on the back of that and glue those down. And I like how that's coming together. I think the white is nice because it brings some of the white from the background and it kind of helps. I don't know, it makes it look not as busy, which seems kind of strange to me, obviously, because there's a lot going on. So if you think adding more on would make it look more busy, but for some reason, adding those white stars on just kind of brings everything together and kind of takes your eye out of the background and brings you more into the foreground. And I think it works pretty well for this page. So I'm just gluing all the pieces down now, again using a lot of adhesive because this pocket is exposed and I want to make sure it doesn't fall off the paper. And I will be punching through this picture, but that's fine. You barely can even tell that it's being punched through. I thought I would actually have to trim off the back of the photo, but I end up playing with it in the album and it fits pretty nicely and it doesn't get in the way of the spine or anything. So I don't end up cutting off the photo at all. So I just let that extra corner on the back left kind of hang off. And there's a little bit of it hanging off on the front of the semicircle as well, which is fine as well. Just trimming up a couple things, making sure it's not quite as long as it was, adding a little liquid glue on these stars to make sure that they don't fall off. And I think that is it for this card here. And I will move on to the 4 3x4 pocket page here in a second. Oh, yes, just punching out the holes to make sure it's going to fit in the album. And I think I show you a close-up of everything here. Oh, I do put another number on here. I put a number 9 on the one side, but since this part of the page is facing out. I kind of wanted you to see that it was page or day 9 here as well. And you wouldn't be able to tell that until you flip a page. Not that that was a big deal, but I really thought it would look nice if it had the 9 here, and I had the numbers, so I figured I'd use them. So I'm just going to tuck this in there by the little gnome card by the star, and then I'm going to call this page done. So here's a close-up of kind of how everything looks. Adding a little bit of journaling here, just using my vintage typewriter on some white cardstock, and then gluing that down. All right, so here's the 3x4 pocket page. I really kind of keep this simple. I do some stitching, so that's probably the most excitement that I do on this card or these cards. So this one I'm just going to do a nice simple back stitch all the way around the entire edge of the card and some green embroidery floss. And like I've said in several other videos, I'm kind of using the stitching and the embroidery floss on a lot of the pages. It just brings the album all together, and I just really like the look of it. And then on this bottom left card, I am going to actually accent some of the flowers using some of this red, and then I'm also going to use some of the goldish color floss that I have and do the centers of each of the flowers. So I don't show you all of this, but I will show you the end product, and it's just some simple back stitching on the leaves of the 2 flowers and then a little French knot in the center. So you can see that's all done there. And then the last thing I'm going to be doing on this page after I put the embellishments on the top left and the bottom right photo is doing some journaling. I am going to do my journaling on some vellum on my vintage typewriter, and you'll see how I do that. And I'm just going to fit it in that semicircle, or not semicircle, that circle in the bottom left hand corner. But first I'm just figuring out what die cuts I want to use. Again, struggling a bit with this. I don't know, I was just having a lot of problems today putting this page together. That little sprig is a bit too big, so I'm going to pull a smaller sprig out of my stash. And then I am also going to anchor that cluster with a little punched vellum circle as well. It gives it something to sit on, and it helps it again from floating. It's a little dark in the background. We were at a party at night, and that was through a window, so it's outside. So it was a bit dark, and I thought it kind of blended in with the little green circle there a bit too much. So I wanted to make sure it popped off the page a bit more. Alright, so now I'm happy with how that cluster is looking. I did want to add a little bit of something to that little speech bubble, so I'm going to pull out a red veneer glove and add it there. I am going to split this one in half too because it is quite thick. I don't show that on camera, but I end up splitting that up, and it lays a lot flatter on the pocket. And those pockets are kind of tight, so you don't want to put too much bulk, especially in the bottom of the pocket, so splitting the wood veneer helps a lot with that. So I thought I was going to put some vellum on to that one as well, but I decided against that and just going to add some liquid adhesive and glue this down. And then on the top cluster, I am going to staple the holiday fun with my tiny attacher and then glue the other pieces down and then glue everything down on the photo. And I like the texture that the little tiny attacher brings. So while I'm finishing this up, I just want to thank you guys so much again for joining me. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. If you are enjoying the December Daily and some of my other videos, please think of subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you guys as a subscriber. And then, yeah, just leave me kind of what you guys are doing for December Daily. I really am interested in seeing what everybody else is doing, where everybody's at with the project, and just to chit chat. I love hearing from you guys, so that would be great if you could leave me a comment below. Here is what I was talking about earlier, where I was just going to add some journaling onto this card, and I just traced it with some pencil and then typed everything with my vintage typewriter. So thank you guys. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.